Hit a button, Morty. Give me a beat.
Oh, this a podcast.
Got my dog Fuad Saif on tap today. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you for having me, man.
I appreciate you coming through, man. I've been seeing what you've been doing with your content, like I told you before, and definitely excited to like have you on here and get into that a little bit. I'm kind of like getting back in the habit myself. This is my first episode of 2020 recording. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like I'm getting back into the swing of things because we're already in February.
Mine a comeback for a major comeback.
Yeah, straight up.
Mine a setback for a major comeback.
How's the beginning of the year been for you so far?
Pretty good, man. Yeah. I mean, I think, every time you get to a new year, you set goals for yourself. I try to set things into like increments of like 3 months. Okay. So
like
really,
quarter by quarter type shit.
Quarter by quarter. Yeah. So just kind of doing things that are attainable, measurable, and, things that give you like that confidence, that boost to keep you pushing.
For sure. Yeah. And that's a good way of putting it. I think kind of compartmentalizing like the year so that you hit targets, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes people set these big audacious goals, you know what I'm saying? That you can't even get started.
Right. It's just so like, that it's like that to-do list that every time you look at it, it just gives you anxiety.
Like, bro, you don't even get the first step. You know what I'm saying? It's like, where do I start? You know what I'm saying?
So diet starts Monday type shit.
Yeah, straight up. But before we even get into it, I want to kind of set up context for the conversation. So you let people know like who you are, what you do, whether it's like creatively, professionally, however you want people to view you, the listeners, like let people know who you are and what you do.
Hey man, so my name is Fuad Saif. I'm been a resident of Maryland for the majority of my life. Creatively, I enjoy writing. So I got into, starting to publish some of my blogs about a couple years ago, started to gain some traction. Really enjoy it. I kind of got into writing as a therapeutic outlet. Really? Just, my personal life was going through a lot of life changes. And growing up, I never really had access to good listeners. So I always felt like I couldn't really be heard. And I felt like, what I found through writing and literature was, being able to write kind of serves as like the perfect listener because it never interrupts you. It doesn't like question, your point of view, doesn't dismiss how you feeling. It just lets you talk.
Facts.
Right. So that's kind of how I got into it and, really kind of rekindled my love for literature because I always loved reading when I was young. Yeah. And as I got older, I kind of went away from it. Circle of friends weren't really like too big into reading.
Hey man, you read that book last week? Like, you know what I'm saying? No. Niggas are talking about like, what'd you read last week, bro? You know what I'm saying? I feel that.
Was it for school? Okay. Then
straight out. Hell yeah. Like I didn't do no reading if it wasn't for school. I barely did that reading.
Right. We all been there. Yeah. So just getting back into that. And then I speak on the same like line of therapy. I mean, I've always loved comedy. Like, I think the first time I was introduced to comedy was through the Chappelle Show. Yeah, back in 2005. I remember watching it on DVD. That's a long time ago, guys.
Hell yeah,
that's
DVD. Please explain to people what that is. That's a little disc that you put into your TV.
It's a little CD.
Yeah, straight
you
up.
Insert it. Sometimes if it doesn't work, you gotta have to blow on it.
You gotta take it out. You know what I'm saying? Crazy.
It has a scratch,
it's crazy how fast time moves, or like how fast technology moves, bro. Man. Like it's really crazy how like now it's crazy because DVDs weren't even a thing when we were born. You know what I'm saying? They were so brand new when we started using them. Now they're like obsolete damn near. It's crazy. In like a 4, 5, 6 year span, bro. Crazy.
It's about, I remember when we used to go to Blockbuster to rent movies.
Yeah, I remember tapes. Like I remember VHSs, bro.
I know we're kind of giving our age right now.
I know, straight up dating ourselves for sure.
But yeah, man, it's just technology just moves at such a rapid pace. And, in 5 years from now, 2025 , like who knows what's going to be
talking
out
into
there.
microphones is going to be crazy.
Right?
Niggas going to be like, you're podcasting with a microphone?
Right?
What the fuck? But it's bro, I'm so glad that you, I kind of want to start with the comedy thing because I'm a huge fan of comedy too, bro. And not even just like, I like a good joke here and there. Like it's like I really study stand up and like comedy and stuff like that. I don't think I'm good at it, but it's like I have a very big respect for that art form and that craft. You know what I mean? Yeah. And literally some of my favorite human beings are comedians. You know what I'm saying? Because I honestly think, bro, that some of the top comedians are some of the smartest thinkers.
Of course.
Like, it's really interesting. Like, some of my favorite people just like are like Dave Chappelle, like you said, Jerry Seinfeld, Larry David, Chris Rock. Like, these are the people that like they're just smart as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like you listen to them talk outside of trying to be funny. They're very intelligent. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to say that I really resonate with, and honestly, it was seeing you do that made me think like, what the fuck is this nigga up to, dog? Because honestly, like I have so much respect for. I kind of want to break down how you got into it, but like I just got to say that like I just have so much respect really for like the craft of it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm really interested in knowing how you even got to doing that, bro. I know writing it can get you there, but like the performance of it, you know what I'm saying? You have all of that, you know what I mean? And I've only seen a couple of clips out there, but I want to know like how you got into it and why.
So just to kind of build off the point that you mentioned, I think one of the biggest telltales of like a really successful comic is a person that can teach you while they're making you laugh, right? So like Chappelle, when he's getting up there and, you know, talking and performing, you're laughing, but he's also teaching you stuff about life that you weren't aware of. Yeah. Right.
Like he's a really good teacher. Yeah. And then it's like, he'll throw a joke in there. Like it's so subtle. And then you're just like, what the fuck? Like,
I mean, just, and it's just such a unique form of art because comedy in itself is just so subjective, right? Something that could be funny to you could be just really whack and corny to the next person. So to be able to like, for me personally, the comedy that really resonates with me is that which is relatable. So like all the stuff that I currently write the material is like real life scenarios that have happened to me that I find humor in, right? Like I'll give you a little snippet. The other day I was picking up my mom from her house, right? And I was listening to a podcast, and the podcast intro was a Jay-Z song. And she was like, she thought I was listening to a song. She was like, man, turn that nonsense off. You know, immigrant parents, they just don't really
they don't get it. Yeah.
They don't get it. And she was like, turn that crap off. I was like, Mom, chill. Like, it's a podcast intro, number one. And number two, you're not finna disrespect Hov.
In my car.
You're not finna disrespect Jay-Z in my car.
Straight up.
And then she's like, huh? I'm like, Jay-Z, yeah, Sean Carter, allow me to reintroduce myself. And then she's like, who? I said, Ma, you don't know Jay-Z? And then she looks at me, she's like, oh, you're talking about Beyonce's husband.
That's how she knows.
Right? And I'm like, wow, like that's how you know Jay-Z. Yeah, like you know him as Beyonce's husband. But see, that's funny. But you know, like it's those kind of things, like when my brain was switched on, to like, you know, really taking stuff in like that's something that immediately when that happened, like I got home, when we got to the crib, I just typed that down. I just put that in my phone.
That's very interesting too, because I think, I mean, that's what all the great comics do. Like, I mean, honestly, that's what content is. You know what I'm saying? Like content is really just being able to take things that happen to you and kind of put it out there in story form or in a way where people can receive it. But like what's very difficult is putting it in a way that people can receive it. You know what I'm saying? Like, because funny things happen to me all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like to everybody. Like everybody's life really has like funny shit in it. You know what I'm saying? And like sad shit. Cause like there's all kinds of different kinds of content out there. There's horror shit. There's like sad, drama, you know what I'm saying? All that type of stuff. And that's all just drawn off of people's experiences, but it's packaging it in a way where people can receive it. You know what I'm saying? Like the reason, so one of my favorite comedians out there is Larry David, and him and Jerry Seinfeld together, something that they do so well, bro, is take like the nuances of life and show it to you.
I mean,
you know what I mean?
If you think about the show Seinfeld, there's no plot to the show.
No plot. It's literally like things that just happen. Like,
yeah,
you know
four people living in Manhattan.
It makes no sense, bro. But it's like it's the funniest shit you'll ever see because it's so spot on. Like it's so spot on with how like it's just nuances of everyday. Like there was a whole episode when they were just in a restaurant waiting for a table. You know what I'm saying? And like it's just conversation, and then the funny conversations, and then like little instances where, you know, a family that they think came in after them gets seated before them, and then that's a whole thing. You know what I mean?
10 minutes, they're just kind of harping on the fact that
it's really crazy. So I want to know, like, how do you, or I guess maybe how have you learned how to take what has happened to you and structure it into jokes and stuff like that?
So to be honest with you, man, I am starting off on this. Like that, the one that I posted onto my Instagram, that was my third time performing stand-up, period.
Let's take a little, like a half a step back.
Yeah.
what made you go up on stage, or like how did you get that opportunity? Because I feel like I met you maybe a year and a half ago or so.
Just right around a year ago,
doing Phil's podcast.
Yep, like right around a year.
I started following you from that time.
Yeah.
And when you were talking about you were doing the writing, I saw like you were actually, and what's crazy is you said on, I think either on that episode itself or afterwards when we were talking, you said like, yeah, I'm about to launch my blog. You know what I mean? And then people say that all the time. So like, I'm gonna be honest. I just heard that and I was like, okay, whatever. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, whatever. But then I see you, like you put a couple things out there and people really resonated with it. You got like a lot of good, you know what I'm saying, feedback, at least from what I saw like in your comments and everything like that. And then literally the next thing I know, you're on a stage telling jokes. And I'm like, wait, how did this happen? You know what I'm saying? Because again, I have so much respect for that art form that it's like when I see people do that, I'm instantly intrigued. So like, how did you end up on a stage the first time?
So it's funny, like I've always, like anybody who like knows me from time knows like I like to make jokes. I've always talked about like I watch stand up all the time, and I had it within myself like, yo, I want to just try it out one time. You know, I love it so much. Like I'll be at work, you know, sometimes if I have downtime, I'm just watching random people do stand up. Like I like to watch the greats, and we'll get into, you know, our top five, but like I just like seeing random people and just kind of like just taking little bits and pieces of kind of, you know, nuances and tricks and all that from them. So I was speaking to a friend of mine, I think in September, and I was like, yo, bro, I really want to try stand up, but I'm trying to figure out, like, I don't know if I'm ready for a comedy club yet. Like I'm a rookie. And he was like, hey, there's this organization. They have open mics for like people that want to do poetry and like spoken word and stuff. Why don't you just try it out there? Because, you know, that'll be a much less, intense
less pressure
crowd.
And stuff like that.
You know what I'm saying? It's just an open mic, you know, do what you're going to do. So I was like, all right, cool. So the first time I did it was in October, and it went okay. Like, you know, I had some decent feedback, and then they told me to come out again in November. And then there was a showcase that happened recently in February, like earlier this month. So that was my third time. So
that was the one that you put on YouTube?
Yeah, that was the one I put on YouTube. That like, they invited me. They said, hey, you know, we would like to see you perform. So I just prepared some material and then just went up there and did it.
How long did it take you to prepare the material?
So I've had material written in my phone for like a brick. So when I started like saying like I really want to start stand up, that's when I started writing, probably like maybe 7-8 months ago. Okay. So for each of the time, I just kind of went through what I already had and just kind of refined it to like fit like a 5-minute like skit. Yeah.
That's super dope, bro. Yeah. So like, what were you thinking about when you first did it? Like, because I think something that is common amongst human beings is when we try something new for the first time, whether we're excited about it or not, like there's nerves and there's like all types of shit, you know what I'm saying? So bro, like just the fortitude to like, I'm gonna do it and then actually do it. Like, did you feel any kind of like hesitation or anything? Or like, did you have any kind of self-doubt or anything like that?
The thing was for me, I wanted to prove to myself that I can do it. So like, I've always kind of prided myself on being able to step out of my comfort zone and try new things.
Okay,
right?
So
and
that's part of your like life. You step out of your comfort zone. It's not something
like,
that you
that's something like I've never been like. Growing up, I was shy, but I was never afraid to do things that were out of the ordinary per se, right? So this kind of just fell into that. And I was like, you know, for 2020, I really do want to, I want to perform stand-up, right? I want to actually like perform it and get better at it and just do it regularly. So I want to be able to take it to a place where, you know, I'm doing it regularly at comedy clubs. And to be honest, I never want to kind of box myself into being a comedian, because I have respect for the art form, the craft. I understand people really dedicate their whole lives to it and their time and energy. And I understand, for me, I just want to do it as another healthy just outlet, as a hobby. I'm not really looking to monetize from it or anything. I just want to keep it fresh and organic and just have fun with it for real.
We kind of talked about the writing you were doing. I guess you're still doing the writing that you do. How has that like helped you, I guess? Because I don't know, when I met you the first time on Phil's podcast, had you been writing or were you like about to start? Like, when would you say you've been? Okay.
I was already writing at that point. I was probably a year in. So I was, but again, it was a completely different content. It was strictly
more like
just
therapeutic
blogs.
material type
just
stuff.
Blogs, a lot of personal self-reflection stuff. So it wasn't, no comedy really.
Okay. So I guess in your mind, is there a shift that happens when you write, or is writing for you? Like,
no, there's definitely a shift. I think with comedic writing, like you said, it's just about being aware of stuff that happens that in your day, or like I have material. So I have another show that I'm doing on the 7th. It's like another open mic. So I kind of already have an idea of what I want to talk about. And now it's just a point of like, okay, just refining little small material, like details here and there. And if that stuff comes to my mind, it's just pull up my phone and just, write it down. And then I'll go back and practice it in the mirror. And then, I got a good friend of mine that I kind of just go through my material with, and he gives me like some good feedback and stuff. But it's definitely a shift, because when I do other writing, so currently I'm also writing a fictional miniseries, right?
Okay.
It's called Surviving the Cycle. It's really dedicated to my mom, just kind of telling her story through the lens of 21st century, like, living in America. So that writing is a lot more like, I don't want to say dark, but like I'm not really in a joyful mood. It's kind of like
heavier.
It's a lot more deep. It's a lot more stoic. It's a lot more, just really lasered, focused in. So I gotta go to a coffee shop. I gotta get my espresso shots, and I really have to just block everything out. Mm-hmm. But comedic stuff like that writing can happen like I'm stuck in traffic, I'm watching TV, you know what I'm saying? I'm kicking it with my son. Like if it just comes to me, and then, I just pull out and just write it.
Yeah. I want to ask you, when you did it the first few times and like posted about it, and just kind of like in general with your blog and with this, like, were you surprised at the reception that you got? Because I'm looking at your comments and like people are loving it. You know what I mean? It's like, did that surprise you at all, or like were you? It did.
I'm not gonna lie, like especially with the comedy, because like I know comedians. You know what I'm saying? I know people that like their whole page is dedicated to comedy. Oh, really? And they put out content. And I'm not on that level at all. But like, those are the people that get really, really, positive feedback. And I was just like, yo, let me just share this just to be like, it's more so like, hey, if I can try to do something, maybe this can inspire someone else to try something that they've always wanted to do.
Try something new.
You know what I'm saying? It's just putting yourself out there and just trying new things.
Yeah.
But I was surprised. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very interesting. I do want to kind of like take a giant step back a little bit.
Cool.
What was your childhood like? Like, what type of stuff were you into when you were a kid?
Man, predominantly sports, soccer. I grew up here and I spent some time in Egypt. Lived there for about 5 years. So
where were you born?
I was born here.
Oh, okay.
I was born here. Funny enough, like I was born. So I'm from Somalia. We're Muslim, and I was my mom's first child. And I remember there's a picture of me being put in a stocking. Like the nurses came to my mom. They were like, "Oh my God, your son was born on Christmas."
Were you?
Yeah. My birthday is December 25th. You're like, this is a gift from God. We just had to put him in a stocking. Like, I know you can thank us later. And she's like, no. Thank you. No, we Muslim. No, thank you.
Take my kid out of that damn stocking. Straight up.
I don't know why I gave my mom an accent. I mean, she's lived here for 30 years.
Came out of nowhere.
It's just funnier,
It's straight up.
It's just funny. But yeah, so I was born here, man. Stayed here till I was like 10. And then my mom decided to move us to live in Egypt.
What was that like? How long were you there for?
Dude, I was there for 5 years, man.
Wow.
Yeah,
10 to 15. That's a crucial age, too.
But yo, I think that was the right age, because like, I know for a fact, hey, I love all my nephews and nieces that are in middle school, but I can't stand kids in middle school, yo. Nah. Those are the most defiant. That's the most defiant age range ever.
It's like when you just start talking shit. Like you just start to like I feel like
your chest out.
I feel like kids at that age,
they try to test you.
Yeah, like they think they're like. Don't get me started with high school. Like high school, you think you're grown and you just don't even listen to adults. But like middle school, you think you're grown, but you still are like asking adults for stuff because you are like you're super dependent on adults. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you're still like, I need a ride here, but you're like an asshole. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I was such an asshole in middle school. Like how does that make where's sense? My dinner? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like such an asshole. It's crazy.
I need $10 for lunch.
Yeah, like straight up. Like I need this. Like I need this. Give it to me. Yeah. So crazy. So like growing up in Egypt, what was that like? Because I know like American kids are like that. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not so sure about like kids all over the world. Because, you know, a lot of other cultures, respect is such a big part of it.
Course,
you know what I mean? So like
kids
couldn't do that even if they wanted to. You know what I'm saying? So like, was that like what your
corporal punishment is very, very heavily encouraged over there.
Straight up.
So a lot of the nonsense and the disrespect is not tolerated.
It doesn't fly.
No.
So like, what was your experience growing up in Egypt like?
Well, man, it was a love-hate relationship, to be honest with you, man. The first year and a half, I hated it.
Just wanted to go back home?
Just wanted to go back home. The culture shock, I didn't know the language. Being a black kid amongst Arabs who live in Africa but don't consider themselves to be African is very, very hard to navigate.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, you receive a lot of overt racism like in your face. Yeah. Like, we don't like you because you're black. Because like here, it's not culturally acceptable to be racist. No,
like you can be racist, but like you got to hide it. You
we're past racism.
Yeah, straight up.
We had a black president.
Yeah, straight up. You know what I'm saying? But like in other places around the world, like it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like everyone. I think people are more blatant with whatever their opinion is. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, because again, America is such a different country to where like, you know, we have multiple ethnicities. I know other countries have obviously multiple ethnicities, but you know,
most countries are dominated by an ethnicity. You know what I'm saying?
Correct. So it's like you're obviously an outsider, even though, I mean, Egyptians, there are a lot of Egyptians that are darker than me, right? That are like that live in Aswan and Nubia and like in the North Sudan area, because Egypt and Sudan they were all one country before, you know, colonialism happened. But yeah, like that was the hardest thing to navigate, just the not being accepted and obviously not speaking the language. And funny enough, I mean, soccer, football, like that was the one thing that I had in common. Like that was the one thing that helped me gain the street cred and the respect from my classmates. Cause like, yeah, I didn't understand the language, but I could play.
Yeah.
So like, you know, that's how I kind of gained their respect. And as I got better at language in school and stuff, you know, then after like year 3 or 4, I really started to enjoy it because I had a lot more freedom. I could go anywhere I wanted to go. I knew the language. I could speak like a local. Then I met other, you know, other kids that came from America, from Canada, from Europe, like all over the world.
Yeah.
So we had that to connect with and bond over. So like
a lot of those, your tribe.
Yeah, a lot of those people, like I still keep in contact to this day.
Yeah.
You know, those friendships that we formed during those times were memorable.
Did you ever feel uncomfortable with the thought of sharing your writing, or did you always start writing to share it?
So here's the thing, like a good amount of people have reached out to me like, yo, man, you share really vulnerable stuff. They would say like, I would never see myself feel comfortable like talking about some really deep, dark, you know, personal issues. And to be quite honest, I never really thought of it that way, because for me, it was like, I know how much it helped me. So I was like, okay, maybe other people are going through, and I know, like, I'm sure we all have very similar shared experiences in life, whether it be, you know, our relationship with our parents and our, you know, family members and friends and, you know, romantic relationships and what have you. So I'm like, I know there are other people that are probably thinking and going through the same thing, but just aren't able to put it into words. So like, you know, why not, you know, be able to provide some sort of relief, some sort of healing for, you know, for other folks. So I never really I was never hesitant, like, oh my God, like I'm scared of people knowing about, you know, my vulnerabilities. I was in a mental place where I already kind of accepted it and got through it through therapy. So that was like, okay, now that I've gone through it and I understood what I've went through, I'm much more able to, like, you know, explain it, articulate it, and then share it. Yeah. So. And then I think also too, at least something for me that I've realized in my life is when you are, not going to say over something, but when you've come to grips with something, an experience that you've had in your life, or like a feeling or whatever it is, it's much easier to share, because it's like, you don't feel like you can be like stung by that from someone else. You know what I'm saying? You've already come to grips with what it is, you know what I'm saying? You've already owned it, you know what I'm saying? So like nobody could use that as ammo towards you. You know what I'm saying? For sure. Is that how you feel? Yeah. No, absolutely. No, you hit the nail on the head. Like once you go through it, once you've owned it, once it's something that it no longer has control over you, when you're the person in control. You're not embarrassed by it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you can share it. And you know what's very interesting, bro? And I think I realized this too. Some time along the way when I started making content, I realized
the vulnerable stuff is what people resonate with the most.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because like no one can share, or no one feels like they can share it. Yeah. So they look at you sharing it. One, they respect you for it. Mm-hmm. Two, it's like, I feel that. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm not going to say it's like sympathy or something, but it's like people, the fact that people can feel it, it's like, damn, thank you for sharing that. You know what I mean?
No, that's the vast majority of response that I got was like, yo, thank you so much for putting into words what I feel. Mm-hmm. Right. So it's like, and again, whether it be writing or like, the comedic material, I always want it to be about real stuff, like relatability stuff that I actually go through, because that's what's going to resonate with people. Yeah.
No, facts. So, I want to ask though, we mentioned failure a second ago, and I want to know, like, how do you view failure? Like, what's your relationship with it?
It's something that I think without it, you cannot grow. Like you can't be a better person. Like you have to accept and understand that this life is not meant to be perfect. Mm-hmm. This life is a test, and that, what separates those who make the best of it and from those who don't are the ones who realize and understand that this is an opportunity for me to learn. This is an opportunity for me to get better. And this is an opportunity for me to like, help affect change in myself and those around me. Like to look at like hardships as a source of like, like I'm like people who like, I believe that people who aren't really tested with a lot of failure in life, they kind of miss out on the ability to really see what they're really made of.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Because if you're in a false sense of security where your life has relatively been nice and smooth and easy and not really many difficulties and hardships, like who's to know, maybe in your 40s and 50s, you're hit with like a really big life-changing experience, and like you haven't built enough of the experience throughout your life that'll help you get through that stage. Right? But if you're someone who's constantly like thrived and like willing to accept, that hard times are gonna come, then you're gonna build. It's like working out, right? If you've never worked out for all these years and you try to bench press 225, it's not gonna happen. But if you've built the resistance and built the got the reps and the practice and the trials and the errors, and you're gonna be ready for whatever life throws at you.
Yeah, that's big facts, bro. So, I feel like one of the. It's funny too, because like when I look at kids, you know what I'm saying, it's very interesting how like parents try to shield their kids from experiencing any kind of like failure or like hardship or any kind of like obstacles. You know what I'm saying? And it's so detrimental, bro, because it's like, dog, like literally navigating that is what's going to turn that person into a good human being, or like a adult that can thrive. You know what I'm saying?
Like when I take my son to play in the playground and stuff, I will never ever interfere if another kid is like taking something from him. Like yo, you have to solve your own problems. If it's an adult that's giving you an issue, that's when I step in. But if as long as someone that's your age, a kid like you figure out your own problems. Like figure out there's a solution to it. I want to be able to like give him that life skill, right? Be like, put him in positions like, hey, problem solve. Yeah. You're here, figure it out.
Bro, that's so important. Like it's so important, bro, because I think something that I realized too was that something that was really dope about my upbringing and being first generation Nigerian. My parents did a great job of like giving us a great life in the sense of like having all the things that we needed, right?
Respect.
And not give us anything extra. like there was like no, we got no wants. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like no wants. Like I mean, like not to say that like we were like deprived of anything. No, we had everything that we needed, and like anything that my parents wanted to give us, they would. But like it wasn't like a, hey mom, dad, I want a Nintendo, can I get one? It was like, if they were in the store and like they saw some shoes that they thought they would want to get over, they would get. So like we would get things like that, but like it wasn't like a, hey, I want this, can I have this? It was none of that. And it was even to a point where like I was just scared to ask my parents for stuff, like because like it's a no. We used to, me and my older sisters, we would just like get our little brother, because like our little brother was just fearless. You know what I'm saying? Like he would get the no's too, but he just didn't care. You know what I'm saying? So like we would just always ask him. We'd be like, yo, like ask if we can go to McDonald's, ask if we can get this. You know what I'm saying? But like, I think something that like that was important, bro, because like I wasn't raised thinking that I could just have whatever I wanted. I grew up like realizing that like this isn't about getting everything that you want. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not what this is about. You got to earn the things that you want, bro. And that was like the biggest thing for me because, you know, when you're in this adulthood life, bro, like no one's giving you anything. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to work for everything. And it's dope that I learned that early. You know what I'm saying? Like it's dope that I learned that early because like I haven't even like asked my parents for anything since I graduated college. You know what I'm saying? Like I've like made it a point to just like thrive on my own.
There's a certain, that's very respectful. There's a certain level of pride that it takes, especially, you know, like once you become of age to be like, hey, I can take care of myself. Like I don't want to ever be in a position where I have to depend on another person. Right. Yeah. Now that I'm a parent, I sometimes have to catch myself. Like we get into this thing where like, yo, I didn't have this. Let me make sure I give my child this. Facts, right. And it's like, okay, maybe you want to, but is that the best thing for them moving forward? Big picture. Yeah, that might make them happy for today and tomorrow and the next week. But like, is it you providing that, whether it's a toy or whatever the case may be with material or not material, like that thing that you want to provide for them because you didn't have it, is that something that's going to benefit them long term and make them into a better person? Because every parent will tell you that they want their child to be better than them. Mm-hmm. You want to do what you're doing so that they can become way better than you. So in order for them to be way better than you, you kind of have to be smart and strategic in like the certain level of the things or the things that you do or give them or you don't give them. Yeah. Right. Like for me, one of the reasons why like I make a joke, like soccer and we had our 25th anniversary this year. Right. I started playing when I was 4 and it's been my first love and it will always be my first love. Like nothing will ever compare to it just because of what it does for me, more so than just from a physical aspect, like a therapeutic, psychological aspect. Like the feeling that I get from soccer is something I can't describe.
I get it.
Right. But my mom growing up hated me playing. Like I'm talking, made it so difficult for me to play. Yeah. Right. And there's this saying in Arabic, it's called al-mahroom marghoob, which translates to whatever is forbidden becomes that much more desirable. Right. So like my mom made it a point for me to make it super hard for me to play. I wanted to play even more. Right. So I would like do the most to go to random soccer games, to join random leagues, random teams. And like to this day, like I still play twice a week and I will, you know, and something that even my son and we share now. And it's like, but I don't think I would have had this level of passion if my mom was signing me up for every league and, you know, driving me to every game.
Practices. You know? And like,
my mom straight up told me when I joined the high school team, she was like, listen, like in true African fashion, I send you to school to study. Yeah, straight up. I don't send you to play.
Yeah, straight up.
So if you're going to go there, you're going to drive, you're going to find your own way to go to practice.
It's your thing.
You're going to find your own way to go to games. Don't expect me to go nowhere. I got some your other siblings to take care of. So I found my way to get on the bus and cop rides and hustle and, you know, and that's what, like you said, that put that drive in me. So like even now with my son, like I don't want to even put him into something unless I really see it from him, whatever it is, if it's soccer or basketball, whatever sport or hobby, like I want it to be like, hey, Dad, I want this. I really do want this. And I'll facilitate for him, right? But it's like, you don't want to just hand everything, like you said, you don't want everything handed to you because then you don't understand and appreciate the fruits of the labor that it requires to, you know.
Yeah, it's crazy because like it was the same way with me when I was growing up with sports, bro. Like my parents did not care for me to be like playing. It was like, bro, books. Like, what are you doing? Yes. So like there was no like I think my mom drove me to one. I played football for like since like 5th grade, from 5th grade through high school. I think my mom drove me to like 2 practices. You know what I'm saying? Like my dad I don't even think he knew I played. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they were just like they were just so uninvolved and so uninterested. You know what I'm saying?
Like several friends had to hide the fact that they were on teams.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, learning how to navigate getting to practice, getting home from practice, getting my classwork done, because like that, like if that was compromised, there was no sports. You know what I'm saying? Like getting that done on top of like doing all of the athletic stuff, it like made me who I am, bro. Like it's crazy.
Sure.
And like also again, back to like it's very interesting too. Like this is a very interesting dynamic of parenthood, at least from when I look at my parents. It's like the uninterest, but interest. You know what I'm saying? It's like at the end of the day, I was a kid and they allowed me to do this. You know what I'm saying? It's not like they didn't know where I was. So it's like they were like, no, but like they knew I was going to practice. You know what I'm saying? So it's like very interesting how like it was this dynamic of they weren't necessarily for it, but like they allowed me to do it. You know what I mean? That's very interesting. And it's very interesting what you said about having a kid and wanting to give him what you didn't have. I'm very interested in knowing, or like asking, like, do you think that's a where's the line between like, how do you even know that's what that kid wants? Like the kid doesn't know, like your kid doesn't know he doesn't have what you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how, do you think about that at all? Cause I think to the point that you were making about like wanting your kid to be better than you. And we talked about how like deprivation breeds that like hunger to be, you know what I'm saying, successful and all that type of stuff. So like in giving your kids the things that you didn't have, are you taking that hunger away or like?
It's funny because I had a conversation with my friend and, you know, if my son watches this in the future, just know that I will say no to whatever you do just because. just to see if you really want it.
Really want it, just straight up.
Straight.
Oh, that's a good fact.
I will do that. You know what? If he's on a team or he wants to go on some sort of activity.
They're going to take that shit for granted if you be like, oh yeah, I'll drive you to every game. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're going to take that shit for granted.
Today, you're not allowed to go. Why not? Just not allowed to go.
Yeah. And then they're going to have to figure out a way.
Just see, like, you know, you gotta test, you know what I'm saying? You gotta test the water. You gotta be strategic about it. I think that's the biggest thing, right? It can't just be a zero sum. It can't just be all or nothing. Yeah. It's gotta be a little balance in between.
Yeah. That's very interesting. Yeah, man, we're going to get ready to wrap up, but I do have like a couple rapid fire questions I'd like to ask. You know what I'm saying?
We didn't even get to the top 5. You know, we didn't even finish the top 5.
Let's do that. Let's do that because I'm interested in, we're talking comedians, right? Yeah. I'm gonna go first just because you are the comedian in the room. So like, you know what I'm saying? I want to weigh mine against yours. But I mean, I honestly, I think I said mine. And this is no particular order. Chappelle, I love Chris Rock, Jerry Seinfeld. I'm not going to say Larry David as far as like comedic minds is up there for me, but he doesn't do enough stand up for me to put him in stand up. But like I have to just say his name because I love Curb. I love Curb and Seinfeld are my 2 favorite shows, and they're literally based off of his life and his comedic thinking. Right. So the 3 for those stand up comedians, I have to put maybe Martin Lawrence up there.
Like Def Jam Martin Lawrence?
Yeah, like younger Martin Lawrence. Okay. Not Martin Lawrence now, just because like he's not really doing stand. I mean, he's got that tour, but like it's more him hosting. Yeah. But as far as like all time favorites, like Run Tell That is like something that I watch like often. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then for a 5th, it's gonna be highly controversial. I'm gonna have to say Louis C.K.
Louis C.K. Okay.
Yeah, okay. I love his comedy. Oh, sorry. Scratch. Okay. Let me take out Martin Lawrence. All right. Let me take out Martin Lawrence. I'm going to have to put in, this is going to be a tie for 5. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to do 6.
It's okay. It's 6 man. It's going to be somebody come off the bench.
It's going to be Ellen DeGeneres and Sarah Silverman. I love Ellen DeGeneres and Sarah Silverman.
I've never heard her stand up.
Ellen DeGeneres?
No.
Bro, she's got a joint on Netflix called Relatable it just came, I think it came out last year. Okay. Hilarious. But she had like 2 HBO specials that were great. And they were from like before she was like doing Ellen the TV the talk show. You know what I'm saying? Gotcha. So like I like early, like a little bit early Ellen. She's great. And it was crazy. And she's so like clean. You know what I'm saying? Like she's so clean. Hard, you know what I'm saying? Like that. Hard. Yeah. Like she's funny and she's clean as hell. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like it's hard to do like clean comedy and be great. But yeah, I love Ellen and Sarah Silverman. I gotta throw her in there.
All right, cool. Respect. So mine, Chappelle's number 1. Yeah. All right, Eddie Murphy, Chris Rock, Bernie Mac.
Yeah.
Say Bernie Mac was the first vlogger.
What do you mean?
The Bernie Mac show. He was the
that
first
was like
vlogger.
vlog style. He was talking to the camera. and I think, didn't they have like the little video overlay? Like it was like a home video type shit?
America.
Yeah,
I can't stand
he was talking
kids.
to America. That's
and
facts.
He was cockeyed looking at this eye, looking at this
facts.
eye.
No, I really took the Bernie Mac show for granted when it was. I didn't like it when it was on because. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't like Bernie Mac when I was a kid because I was like, this nigga's too mean. He's too aggressive. You know what I'm saying? But like, I got older and I actually listened to what he was saying and like how the aggression played into it. Yeah, he's hilarious, bro.
It's too funny. I remember one of the lines. He was like, there was an episode when the AC didn't work and it was like in the middle of the
classic
summer.
Classic episode.
He was like, man, I thought heat makes kids slow down. I guess if they're kids from hell, they're used to the heat. He's too funny.
No, that show is so funny, dog. No, but Bernie is funny, bro.
His stand-up, like you said, Kings of Comedy.
Yeah.
Milk and cookies.
Yeah, milk and cookies. Yeah, he's dumb, bro. So the whole motherfucker bit at the end, bro. Yeah, Bernie.
That was
Bernie's
actually
that
Def
guy.
Jam. That was Def Jam Bernie.
Oh yeah.
That was Def Jam Bernie.
Yeah.
But Chris Rock. I mean, Chris Rock for the fact that the Chris Rock show. I love that. Everybody hates Chris.
Yeah, Everybody Hates Chris was good. That was quality.
Show.
It's interesting because like that was funny, but it's crazy, man. A lot of these shows for me were like before the time that I was watching them. Like I didn't appreciate Everybody Hates Chris in the moment, but like I love it now. You know what I mean?
It was funny because like it just gave you an insight into it. Like he had really funny punchlines, but they were just so subtle.
Yeah. His thought. His thought was like somebody would say something, a character would say something, then he would just have like a quick witty thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was a well-written show. That was a well-written show. Yeah.
So was that 4? You know, one of my personal favorite, D.L. Hughley. I feel like D.L. Hughley is hilarious.
That's where I'm gonna have to disagree.
Nah, man.
I've like, even to this day, I'm like, DL. Like, I mean, whoa, don't get me wrong. I respect like the fact that he is one of the kings of comedy, and like, you know, I respect like, because I'm never gonna be that person that like looks at somebody that has a 20-year career and be like, he's not good. Yeah, because you can't last that long and be trash. But like, his comedy's never really resonated with me. I've never thought of him as like great.
Like, you know, it just some stuff hits, some stuff doesn't.
Yeah.
I think
you got any like honorable mentions, like any other people that you just got to put up there? You got your 5, but
Lavelle Crawford is funny.
Lavelle Crawford's good, yeah.
I mean, Ari Spears, definitely. T. Kirkland. Who else? I like Trevor. I mean, like in terms of the contemporary people, I like Trevor Noah. Man, I feel like it's just like whenever you think of these lists, you're going to miss somebody, dude. So it's like...
It's when you said Trevor Noah, it made me think of Jon Stewart, who I like. Jon Stewart's really good. But Aziz, I like Aziz Ansari. Yep. But yeah, man, like the art of stand-up is something that I can just watch. Like, I just be watching Netflix specials, bro.
Yes,
like, you know what I'm saying? Like, no names. Like, you fuck with Gerard Carmichael?
Of course.
Yeah. I watched his Jones on HBO, which are good. He's a young dude too, like as far as like because you know when you think of like the I guess the powerhouses of comedy or whatever, it's usually like older folks guys, you know what I'm saying, and like people really like hone in on their craft and stuff like that as they're older, you know what I'm saying, like we're calling Dave Chappelle the best of all time, and he just like put out probably his greatest stand-ups in the last like 3 years, you know what I'm saying, like
bro,
so
the
like
Sticks and Stones one was
bro, like all those, everything on Netflix is like primo, bro. Everything on Netflix is primo, like from beginning to end. I don't know, man. He's a fucking genius, dog. Like there's never been a time that he had a microphone in his hand and he didn't like kill. You know what I'm saying? It's very interesting, bro. Yeah. Like it's very interesting. But like with Gerard Carmichael, he's like a younger guy. But like as far as because I was listening to him on a podcast, and the person who was interviewing him has like interviewed. So I listened to the Tim Ferriss podcast, and like Tim Ferriss interviews a lot of like high performers. Yeah. And when he was doing like his little intro, he was saying like how all of these like comedic heavy hitters fuck with Gerard Carmichael, and he's like so young, so that's like so rare. You know what I mean? So I was like, let me see, because like I've seen him in like shows and stuff like that. I thought he was okay, so I'm like, let me see what this guy's talking about. And I watched this joint on HBO. I was like, yeah, this is pretty good. You know what I'm saying? So he's somebody that kind of sticks out. But there's a lot of female comedians that I love too, like Ellen. I said Sarah Silverman. How you feel about what's her face? Amy Schumer. How you feel about Amy Schumer?
Funny.
Yeah.
Funny.
I feel like people are hating on her in this time.
Funny.
Like, yeah, she's funny. After that whole like Monique thing when everyone was like, well, how did Amy Schumer get? I'm like, dog, Amy Schumer's fucking funny, dog. Funny. Like, please don't disrespect her. She's funny as hell. Like,
Lunel is funny too.
Lunel, with the short hair?
Yes,
yeah, she's funny as hell. Funny. I saw Adele Givens at the Martin Jump. Adele Givens, you would know her if you saw her. I don't know. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No.
If you saw her face, you would probably know her, but she killed. I saw she did like maybe 30, 40 minutes at the Jump with Martin, and like I was laughing from beginning to end.
Nice.
It's funny. I just like comedians that can just like they can tell stories and they can like hit a chord, bro. That's Amy Wong, like she's good. It's very interesting when someone who doesn't look like me can make me like laugh and I can resonate with their comedy. You know what I mean?
like Hassan Minaj too.
I love Hassan.
Yeah, he's fast though, man. Yeah. He's like super twitchy. Like
I wish he would do more stand up. Like I mean, I guess like his show on Netflix, it's got a stand up aspect to it. But what was it? What was that? Homecoming Kid? You saw the joint on Netflix?
I know what you're talking about.
When he was like in his home of California, that was really good. And I liked how he touched on the first generation aspect. You know what I'm saying? Oh my God. Somebody I have to put in my top. I know I already put 6. You know who John Mulaney is?
Say that again?
John Mulaney?
Nah, man.
Bro, John Mulaney is so funny, dog. He's like this skinny white guy and he's like, bro, like his comedy is so funny. Like he's so good. He's got a bunch of stand-ups on Netflix. And I watched the first one I watched was like New in Town. It was called New in Town. That joint was so good. Then it was like another one called like The Comeback Kid. Like he's good, bro. And he's got, you ever seen that show on Netflix called Big Mouth?
No.
So there's a show on Netflix, it's like a cartoon, but he plays one of the characters, but it's pretty popular. That's why I brought it up. But no, John Mulaney is hilarious, bro. But you like by the look of him, you wouldn't think he's like that great. You know what I mean? He's just like this like regular looking white guy. He like, part of his shtick is that like he's like people think he's gay, you know what I'm saying? But he's not. You know what I'm saying? But like he's so funny, bro, and he's so good. You like Bill Burr?
Yeah,
I've been on a Bill Burr kick lately. I watched like 3 of his stand-ups in the last like 3 days.
I'm just surprised that we didn't mention Kevin Hart.
How do you feel about Kevin Hart?
I liked
because I'm not surprised that we didn't mention it.
Yeah, I liked his older stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Newer stuff, not.
Yeah,
not
that's
so
exactly
much,
what I was about to say. Like I loved him, Grown Little Man, and like what's that? Laugh at My Pain. All those like his first like 3 or 4 were great. Yeah, I don't like him mainstream. I just don't.
I think just it goes back to the relatability.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like in the content, it wasn't really that relatable as it got bigger and bigger. Like that's what really stuck with me in the beginning. Like, he's talking about his kids. Yeah. Like that stuff really like, I loved it.
I think I just lost interest in him. Like, I think I just lost interest in him because like I haven't even seen his last like 2 stand-ups. I know he had one that came out on Netflix.
He had a show. He had like a little 6-part documentary.
He had a documentary that I didn't even watch. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, don't get me wrong. I loved him early on. I don't know. He didn't keep me. You know what I'm saying?
Same. No. Yeah. And I think that sentiment is shared by a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, but it's comedy.
But that's the thing. Like, it's hard to do. Like, but also like he's killing it. He doesn't need me as a fan. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't need me like as a fan. Like he's got more fans than ever. He probably got the most fans out of any comedian.
He doesn't need either of us.
You know what I'm saying? Straight up.